The lantern at the door. I still remember the way the lantern swayed that night, like it was breathing. We weren't supposed to be out that long. It was meant to be a quick hike before sundown, a dumb little adventure to prove we weren't city soft. I was with two friends, Jake, always laughing too loud, and Melissa, who kept filming everything for her vlog. The trail twisted deeper than the map showed, and before long, our phones lost signal. By the time we admitted we were lost, the sun was bleeding into the horizon. That's when we saw it, a cabin through the trees. Old, wooden, leaning slightly, but there was a glow. A single lantern swinging by the door. The wind should have snuffed it out, but it didn't. It just kept swaying like it was waiting for us. We called out, but no one answered. The air was cold enough to sting, and night was rolling in fast. Jake said we should check it out. Better a creepy cabin than freezing our asses off. Melissa hesitated, scanning with her camera, but the moment that light flickered across her lens, she said, "Yeah, let's go." The snow had started falling, thick and soft, swallowing our footprints almost as soon as we made them. I remember thinking how quiet it felt, how the trees seemed to lean closer as we walked. Every crunch of snow under our boots sounded too loud, too alive. The closer we got, the more the lantern seemed to move, not just swinging, but pulsing. Its glow waxed and waned like a heartbeat. When we finally stepped onto the porch, it stopped swaying altogether, perfectly still, as if it had been holding its breath for us. Then, from somewhere inside, we heard the faintest scrape, like a chair being dragged slowly across the floor. Jake grinned. "See, told you someone's home." But when I looked through the frosted window, I didn't see anyone. Just a table set for three, steam curling from untouched bowls, and a fire that burned without smoke. And that lantern, now still as stone, still waiting. Jake grinned that stupid grin he always wore when he was nervous. "Relax, it's probably an animal." He moved toward the pantry, boots creaking against the old floorboards. The air felt heavy, thick like breathing soup. Melissa's camera light flicked on, slicing through the dim cabin glow. "Jake, wait," I whispered. He didn't. The door opened an inch. The knocking stopped. For a moment, there was nothing, just the soft crackle of fire and the faint hum of the lantern outside. Then came the smell, damp wood, rot, something metallic underneath, like rust or blood. Jake yanked the door wider. Empty shelves, a few cans, an old broom, nothing else. He exhaled, smirking. "See? Pantry ghost." He shut it again, but the sound didn't stop. Knock, knock, knock. This time it came from inside the walls. Melissa screamed and dropped her camera. The screen cracked, the lens spinning wild across the wooden floor. The footage glitched, the lantern's light flashing in perfect rhythm with the knocking. I grabbed her hand. "We're leaving, now." We bolted for the front door. Except it wasn't there anymore. Where the door had been was just smooth wood, perfectly seamless. Melissa started to cry. Jake cursed, pounding his fists against it, splinters biting into his knuckles. Then the fire went out, just gone. No smoke, no ember, no sound. Darkness swallowed the room. Only the lantern outside still glowed. Its light cut through the frost-covered window, faint but alive. And within that glow, three silhouettes, three people, standing, watching. I felt the temperature drop fast, cold enough to bite through bone. Melissa whispered, "Who are they?" Jake raised the poker, but his hand was shaking. The figures didn't move. Not until the lantern flickered once more. Then one of them lifted an arm and waved. Jake whispered, "They're us." And he was right. Their faces, their clothes, everything matched, except they were smiling. And their lantern burned brighter with every flicker of ours. That was the moment I realized we weren't guests in that cabin. We were replacements. The darkness wasn't empty. It moved. Like shadows remembering they used to be human. I could still feel Melissa's hand gripping mine, trembling, slick with sweat. Then, a sound, not breathing, mimicking breathing, as if the house itself was trying to pretend it was alive. The lantern on the table flared suddenly, bursting with light that shouldn't have existed in that room. And there he was again, the man with Jake's eyes, stepping closer. The glow from his lantern wasn't warm, it was hungry. He whispered something. I couldn't hear it, not really. It was like his words crawled inside my head instead of through my ears. Then he reached for Melissa. She screamed, a sound I'll never forget, but the light swallowed it whole. When it faded, she was gone too. Not vanished, replaced. Standing beside him now, smiling with those empty, wrong eyes. Her camera still hung from her neck, recording everything. I stumbled backward, heart hammering, lungs refusing to fill. "What do you want?" I shouted. The man tilted his head, and every reflection in his lantern turned toward me at once. Faces overlapping faces, mouths twitching, eyes fluttering open and shut. He whispered, "Someone has to keep the lantern lit." Then I saw them through the window. Dozens of cabins stretching into the trees, each with a single glowing lantern by the door. And in every one, a different version of the same nightmare. I ran for the wall where the door used to be and slammed into it. Wood cracked under my shoulder, pain shooting down my side. I didn't care. I just kept hitting it. Splinters bit deep, the light behind me swelling hotter and brighter until it burned through my eyelids. Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing outside. The cold air cut deep, and behind me, the cabin door had reappeared, shut tight, the lantern swaying gently beside it. Through the frosted window, I saw a man sitting at the table, his face half shadowed, half familiar. He looked up at me. He mouthed something I couldn't hear. Then the lantern flared once more, and everything went white. I stumbled backward, knocking over the chair, heart pounding so hard it felt like the floorboards were echoing. The room had reset itself. The fire crackled again, calm and steady, like it hadn't swallowed anyone. Jake's chair was gone, Melissa's too. Only mine remained. On the table, 2 plates waited, the same stew, steam curling lazily upward, as if daring me to pretend everything was normal. I whispered their names, Jake, Melissa, but my voice sounded distant, hollow. The air didn't carry it, it absorbed it. The lantern outside swayed once more, gentle and rhythmic, that slow, hypnotic movement. I don't know why, but I walked to the window. The glass felt warm under my fingertips. Outside wasn't the forest anymore. It was blank, just black, like the world had been erased. Then the whispering started. Not voices, just the sound of my name, stretched thin through the wind, repeating over and over, Eli. Each time, it came from a different direction, behind me, under the floor, inside my skull. I covered my ears and screamed, but the sound bent in on itself, muffled before it could escape. When I looked back at the window, my reflection was watching me, but not following my movements. It blinked when I didn't. It smiled when I couldn't. And then I saw them, Melissa and Jake, standing behind my reflection, eyes glowing faintly in the lantern's light. Their faces were calm, peaceful, wrong. Like the photo on the wall had come to life. I stumbled toward the door again, pulled, kicked, begged, nothing. Every time I turned back, the reflection was closer. Its breath fogged the glass from the inside. Then I noticed the lantern outside dimming slowly as though it were running out of air. With each flicker, the reflection grew darker, except for the eyes. Those stayed bright, alive, waiting. The whisper came again, softer now, almost kind. Your turn. I stared down at the table one last time. The second plate was still full, untouched. But the first, mine, was empty, completely clean. That's when I saw my reflection lift the spoon and start to eat. I don't know how long it's been. Days don't pass here, not really. There's no sun, no moon, just the steady pulse of that lantern outside the window. Sometimes it flickers and for a second I think it's dying, but it never does. It just keeps burning. Like me. The cabin feels smaller now, as though the walls are leaning in to listen. The fire never dies, the stew never cools, and the chair across from me always waits, empty, patient. I used to scream for help, used to pound at the door until my hands bled. But the cabin doesn't like noise. It prefers silence. And over time, I learned to give it what it wanted. When new footsteps crunch through the snow, I feel it, that hum in the air, the same one I felt the night we arrived. The lantern outside sways again, slow and expectant, casting light through the frosted window. Then the doorknob turns, and I smile. They always look relieved at first, cold, tired, desperate for warmth. I know that look. I wore it once. I stand by the pantry now, waiting, the lantern in my hand casting soft gold light. It's warm in here, always warm. The table is set for 3. Steam curls from the plates. The smell of thyme and apples fills the air. When they ask, "Are you the owner?" I just nod. Because in a way, I am. The dinner's always hot, the lantern always sways, and the forest, it's always hungry. So if you ever find yourself lost in the woods and see a light ahead, steady, golden, impossibly still, don't follow it, because it's not leading you home. It's inviting you in. Thank you for listening to The Lantern at the Door. If this story gave you chills, do me a favor. Tap that like button so more people can find it, and subscribe for new horror stories every night. Share this video with someone who loves a good scare. There's another story waiting for you on your screen right now. Go watch it next, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.